Woo! After 100 days of nothing, we're finally getting back into business with actual regular content. Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to me talking about science in situations where science really doesn't apply. Now, a long time ago, I did a video where I talked about Zelda and how I was introduced to the series and how it's one of my favorites. At the time, I hadn't played Breath of the Wild, but it was high up on my list of games to play. Now, I've finally gotten to play it, and it's awesome. The second playthrough drags a bit, but it's fun, and I'm excited for the sequel that's gonna come out eventually. Now, one of the biggest things this game and its sequel brings up is this thing called Malice, a strange organism that coats the walls of Hyrule Castle and is the physical embodiment of Ganon's hatred. What is it? How does it spread? Why does it hurt Link to touch it? Well, I'm about to answer all that in a few minutes, so let's dive right in. No, not like that. The first thing we need to do is list out the traits of Malice. The most notable trait of Malice is its large, eye-like protrusion that, when damaged, vanishes along with the surrounding Malice. It is a gelatinous organism that is toxic to the touch and latches onto other organisms or patches of land, spreading strange particles into the air around it. But, as much as we know about what Malice looks like, we don't really know what it is. Is it alive? Is it magical? Is it controlling Ganon, or is it a product of Ganon's creation? How does it survive? How does it get nutrients? Is there anything in our world even remotely like Malice? Well, let me answer this burning question for you, dear viewer, as we expose the truth about Malice and what it actually is. You see, there's a surprisingly easy answer to what is Malice, because its in-game traits lead to one really fun answer. It's a fungus. Why is it a fungus, you ask? Well, let's go over what makes something a fungus. Fungi are multicellular organisms that get their nutrients through absorption. They find something living, or formerly living, that will feed them and obtain their nutrients from that. Now, how can we prove that Malice works in this way? Well, let's look at the characteristics of Malice and see if they match any real-world fungi. The first characteristic of Malice I'd like to look at is how it hurts Link when he touches it. Now, most fungi do not do this. You have to eat them to get hurt. However, there is one kind of fungus that does hurt you if you touch it. The poison fire coral fungus. This fungus grows in Eastern Asia and Northern Australia, and is one of the few fungi in the world that could kill you by touching it. I'm not going to go into the symptoms of how you die because it would get this video in trouble, but just take my word for it, it's not good. The next characteristic of Malice is its gelatinous qualities. In this case, there's an entire group of fungi called jelly fungi that have gelatinous qualities. When dried out, jelly fungi become shriveled and hard, but exposing the fungus to water will result in it returning to its gelatinous form. While most jelly fungi are not poisonous, they also have an unpleasant taste and texture, so people don't eat them very much. The third quality of Malice that's comparable to fungi is its somewhat parasitic nature. The ice dragon Nadra, found at the top of Mount Lanayru, is an example of this parasitic tendency. Malice has completely taken over the dragon's body, and Link is tasked with curing it when he visits Mount Lanayru for the first time. Malice also infects the technology of the Sheikah, making it kill anything on sight. Now, there are many types of parasitic fungi. Wikipedia has over 100 entries on the subject. Some of these fungi gamers will be familiar with, including the mind-altering cordyceps fungus, like from The Last of Us. Sadly, none of these parasitic fungi ever take over robots and cause them to kill anything on sight. That would be cool, but sadly it's just not possible. Although if you do a Google search of fungi and computers, you may find people suggesting building fungal computers, which sounds very fake, but that could be cool. There's another quality of Malice that's kind of fun to look into, where and how it grows. Malice seems to grow anywhere from the walls of Hyrule Castle to the body of a celestial dragon. There's nowhere this stuff can't thrive. This is a trait we see commonly in fungi, particularly indoors. We all know about mold and mildew, which grow in places with poor ventilation and trapped moisture. However, other types of fungi such as mushrooms will grow indoors if they can. Just like Malice, if they can grow, they will. The last quality of Malice I'd like to look at is its size. This stuff grows to be huge. At the Tabantha and Akala towers, we can see some of the largest in-game concentrations of it. My gosh, this stuff gets everywhere. But when we think of fungi, we think of tiny things that gnomes make into houses, not hulking monstrosities that take over entire pieces of architecture. Well then, am I pleased to tell you about the world's largest land organism. I'm gonna butcher this name. Armillaria ostoae, also known as the humongous fungus. A single one has been found covering an area of 3.7 square miles in the Oregon Malheur National Forest. I think I said that right. It grows and spreads primarily underground, but in autumn pops up above ground in the form of little honey-colored funguses. It's also a problem for forest managers. This fungus is deadly to several types of juvenile trees, including the Douglas fir, true fir, and many pine trees, which are all used to produce softwood. In comparison to Malice, while Malice may be deadlier, humongous fungus knocks it out of the park when it comes to size. So, let's review. Malice in Breath of the Wild is a fungus. It's gelatinous, like a group of fungi called the jelly fungi. Its toxicity resembles that of the poison fire coral. Much like other fungi, it has the ability to be parasitic, and it's actually smaller than some fungi in the real world. Now let's see how Breath of the Wild 2 expands on that. Oh, come on! Well, today was a short and sweet video. Once again, feel free to share this with people who will like it, and tell those new people to subscribe. I'd be interested in hearing about both games and shows that you have more science-y questions about. Once again, I'm still working on my process for making these videos, but they're coming along fairly well. I've posted updates on my process on Twitter for the past 2 videos, including this one. So if you're interested in that, check it out in the link in the description. There's also a Patreon down there, but you guys don't have to worry about that yet. I'm still figuring out what to do with it. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!